Welcome back to MidPoint. Former U.S. Navy SEAL, the founder of Blackwater, author of Civilian Warriors, the Inside Story of Blackwater, and the Unsung Heroes of the War on Terror, Erik Prince. Erik, I just want to get back to what we had talked about a couple of moments ago, and you didn't really answer my question. Do you believe that your guys, your Blackwater guys found guilty in this case, were sacrificed by somebody who's just trying to cover their own butt?
I certainly think, like I said, there's a lot of politics that surrounds the event. The government spent tens of millions of dollars after this one case, and a lot of it came after that Nisera Square event. I mean, the bureaucratic attack the company withstood because of this. It's all wrapped into the I would say the anger over the Iraq War, and in the Vietnam War. The anti-war left went after the troops, and this time they went after contractors, and Blackwater represented everything they love to hate.
Then that's a yes, correct? That would be a yes.
Say.
Okay. Let me ask you about the term mercenary. I used that term a couple of minutes ago, and you bristled at that. There are those who would call you mercenaries and say that that's what Blackwater is and private contractors are. Why do you have a problem with that term? Does that just not sit with you right?
I don't. I don't have a problem with that term. You could go by the Oxford definition, someone fighting in a cause in a war that's not their own. In the case of what we were doing for Blackwater, we didn't meet the definition of mercenaries. Americans working for the U.S. government in an overseas operation for their country doesn't meet that. The fact is, the era of battlefield contractors is going to come back in a very large way now because Western governments have perfected the most expensive way to wage war, haven't been that effective at it. And, you've gone from the Cold War military was really good at finding the enemy and killing the enemy because killing the enemy was hard. Okay. In this case, you have an enemy that's hard to find, but easy to kill. And you need to be able to be small, mobile, agile, and low cost and have a very small footprint. Government, again, when it costs $2.2 million per soldier in Afghanistan, those are not the kind of numbers you can sustain. And so the private sector can serve as a price check, just like if you decide whether you're going to send something via FedEx or via the Postal Service, you have that price check that comes from the private sector.
What about those who would say that, and you just alluded to this a little bit, that we need more mercenaries, whatever you want to call them, private contractors, because these are the people who are not afraid to kill. These are the people who are willing to go out and, even if they have to, leave a couple of civilians dead on the battlefield as well, if it means getting to the bad guys. But these are the people that we need because they have the right mentality to go out and just kill the enemy and not be worried about the politics involved.
No, it's not. It's not so much that about what their mentality is. It's how they organize to do a job. And I'll give you an example. A simple one, a very non-lethal one. We showed up, we bid, and we won a job to do vertical replenishment. That's to put our helicopters on board a military supply ship and fly supplies from the supply ship to the warship. Okay, we showed up to do that job with 2 helicopters and 8 people. We replaced the Navy, who was doing the exact same job. They had 2 helicopters and 35 people. And every 35 people they had deployed, they had another 70 plus people back in the United States waiting to deploy, getting ready to deploy, or back from deployment. So it's pretty simple to see who did that cheaper and more cost effectively.
Then why are you better?
Because we can organize from the private sector with a clean sheet of paper. I'm not saying we're any smarter than the admiral that said we have to do that job. The difference is the admiral that says I need 35 people to do that doesn't have to pay for those 35 people. And when you take price information or cost information away from people, you can't make good decisions in a bubble. The private sector has to do that because it's a business. It doesn't go on if it doesn't make money. If it loses money, it's out of business. Unlike monopoly federal government programs.
I only have about 30, 45 seconds left. Do you believe that if it was your mercenaries, your private contractors, that you could have not only been successful against ISIS but defeated them had not the Obama administration, in your own words, quote unquote, crushed my old business?
The point I was trying to make there is that the private sector provides decision makers in Washington with an option to put the necessary presence on the ground for troops to ultimately win on the battlefield when the government is unable to because of cost or political considerations to accomplish a difficult job in a difficult place.
Any doubt, though, in your mind, though, that if you put the group together right now and you went in against ISIS, if the Obama administration or any administration gave you the okay, that you could win that war?
A competent private contractor, properly led and motivated, could accomplish that mission, yes.
In how long a period of time? Quickly?
I would say less than 12 months.
Less than 12 months. Well, Erik, I tell you what, you've given us some things to think about here, and that's what a lot of people always do here. The book, again, it's out in paperback now. Civilian Warriors, The Inside Story of Blackwater and the Unsung Heroes of the War on Terror. Erik Prince, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
All right, next on the Tuesday card, the midterm battle in Kentucky and the slow rise of the youngest son in an American political dynasty. And by the way, later on this hour, if you're multitasking at this very moment, you're not very smart. So say the researchers. That's coming up right here on MidPoint.